Welcome to this special deep dive into a pulse-pounding sci-fi thriller. The Invasion, the Titanian Conspiracy by Delores Elaine Hill. What if the alien invasion already happened, and the enemy was hiding in plain sight? Today, our podcast hosts are exploring the gripping story of a tough ex-New York Police Department detective, Sandra Matheson, and a fearless investigative journalist, Rachel Kane, who stumble upon a deadly secret. We are talking alien sleeper cells, corporate espionage, and a terrifying plot to drown the Earth from outer space. Plans are being formed from an underwater Titanian base in Antarctica. It's an action-packed mystery that will keep you guessing. Stick around for this spoiler-free overview, and be sure to grab your copy of the book to experience the full adventure. The link for the book, now available on Amazon, can be found in the video description box. Enjoy the podcast.
30 years ago, this streak of fire just tore through the sky and slammed into this empty field in Burlington, Colorado.
Yeah, and everybody thought it was just a meteorite.
Right, like just some localized astronomical event. But we were completely wrong.
Oh, completely.
So welcome to the deep dive. Today we are digging into Delores Elaine Hill's just phenomenal sci-fi thriller, The Invasion of the Titanian Conspiracy. And specifically, we're looking at the 2026 revised edition.
Which is such a fantastic update.
It really is. And to you listening, let me just assure you right out of the gate.
Yeah.
This deep dive is strictly 100% spoiler-free.
That's right. We are deliberately avoiding, the massive third act twists and that epic finale.
Because you have to experience that for yourself.
Exactly. The goal here is to really preserve that pure reading experience for you while still unpacking the brilliant, frankly terrifying mechanics of how this story's world is built.
And it is, it's just a masterclass in world building. So today we're exploring two main threads. First, the incredibly insidious mystery of these Titanian sleeper cells that have infiltrated Earth.
Right.
And second, the absolute lightning-in-a-bottle dynamic between the two women who accidentally stumble into this entire conspiracy.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got former NYPD detective Sandra Matheson and investigative journalist Rachel Kane.
Yeah, and that opening hook you mentioned, the Burlington crash, it perfectly establishes the tone.
It really sets the stage.
Because, this isn't a story about an alien invasion that is going to happen. The invasion already happened.
Right under our noses.
Exactly. 3 years ago, the silent war is already fought and lost. We just, we didn't notice. And now the reckoning has arrived.
Which brings us to our two unlikely heroes. Because the way they collide, it really tells us everything we need to know about the world they're fighting in.
It's the perfect setup.
It is. So let's look at Sandra Matheson. She's 34, former homicide detective, and a level 8 black belt.
Which is no joke.
Not at all. And she's just moved into this new Chicago apartment, 402 Lakeside, trying to get a fresh start after a really messy breakup. Maybe open her own private investigation firm.
Right. She represents total grounded reality.
Exactly. She deals in facts, evidence, and, well, physical confrontation.
Yeah, she is entirely tethered to the physical world. And that's crucial because the conspiracy she's about to fall into is going to just shatter every physical rule she relies on.
Right. So it's 7 in the morning. Sandra is just making coffee, getting ready for the day. And suddenly, her quiet morning is completely shattered by a violent thud and a terrified woman's scream.
Coming from the apartment directly above her at 502.
Yeah, 502. Now, most people in a new building, they freeze. Maybe they put a glass to the ceiling.
Oh, right. For sure. You don't want to get involved.
But Sandra's police instincts instantly take over. What exactly is she walking into here? Because, she's expecting a standard domestic dispute or a break-in, right?
She is. She calmly calls 911, gives the address, throws on her shoes, and rushes upstairs. But when she hits the 5th floor, she bumps into a man fleeing the scene.
Right.
And Hill's description of this guy immediately signals to the reader and, to Sandra's trained eye that something is very wrong.
Yeah, he's olive-skinned, dark hair, but it's his movement.
His movement and his eyes, they totally throw her. He doesn't have the manic, panicked energy of a burglar caught in the act. His eyes are cold, calculating, and just unnaturally still.
He just violently shoves past her and vanishes down the stairs. So Sandra enters the apartment and finds the victim, Rachel Kane.
Who is a journalist for the Beagle Times.
Right. She's slumped on the floor, absolutely terrified.
And this is where the core engine of the novel really turns over. You have these two incredibly different women suddenly thrust into a crisis. Rachel has the overarching vision. She has been, like, pulling at the threads of a massive corporate cover-up.
She knows the stakes.
Right. But Rachel lacks the tactical awareness to actually survive the people she's investigating.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to me, this relationship is the entire heartbeat of the book. It's like pairing a visionary architect with a gritty street cop.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like Rachel knows the grand design of the building. She knows where the structural flaws are. But Sandra knows exactly how to kick the door down.
Right.
And clear the room and keep them both breathing long enough to actually use that blueprint. How does Sandra's background as a detective just immediately change the trajectory of Rachel's investigation?
Well, it's a perfect way to look at it,
Yeah.
because without Sandra, Rachel's investigation dies in that apartment, literally.
Oh, absolutely.
When the responding police officers finally arrive, they are totally dismissive. They just want to check a box, file it as a standard break-in, and move on.
Yeah, but Sandra's detective brain is already working. She recognizes that the man on the stairs didn't move like a petty thief, right? He moved like a trained operative. And more importantly, she notices that Rachel is lying to the cops. Rachel is deliberately downplaying the attack to draw attention away from this mundane-looking manila folder just sitting right there on her kitchen island.
The link file.
Yes, the smoking gun. Rachel waits until the cops leave and explains that this file was given to her by a top scientist, Martin Link.
Who was supposedly just found dead of natural causes.
Quote-unquote, natural causes. And the contents of this file are staggering. We are talking about schematics for spacecraft hidden inside standard global shipping manifests.
Yeah, digital audio logs of corporate board meetings where the vocal frequencies don't even match human biology.
It's wild. And a mapped-out underwater base off the coast of Antarctica.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the mechanics of it are brilliant. Think about those shipping manifests.
Right.
If you've ever tracked a package online, you know how incredibly automated our global supply chains are. Algorithms move millions of crates a day. If you can hack that bureaucracy, you can move pieces of a spacecraft right through a major port, and nobody would ever blink.
It's terrifying because it's just so plausible. Which really leads us to the villains of the story, the Titanians, and the man orchestrating all of this, Robert Steele.
Oh, Steele is he's terrifying. He's a towering 6'8", white-haired titan of industry.
The billionaire CEO of Cunard Industries.
But in reality, he is the commander of the Titanian Vanguard, and that guy who attacked Rachel in the apartment.
Oh yeah, let's talk about him.
His name is Hank, and he isn't even human. He is a Model 7 android, a complete masterpiece of alien bioengineering functioning as Steele's enforcer.
I want to talk about this strategy because Steele's infiltration, it isn't a military siege.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of a hostile corporate leverage buyout.
Yes.
Like he isn't breaking the windows to get into the building. He's quietly buying a controlling share of the board so that humanity just hands him the keys to the front door.
And that is exactly what makes the Titanians so deeply unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
The author uses Steele and his empire to play directly on our modern anxieties about unchecked corporate power and mass surveillance. Like, the horror isn't giant saucers hovering over our cities. The horror is that the aliens are disguised as the tech moguls who already control our data servers, our communication grids, our electrical infrastructure.
They are the sleeper cells woven right into the fabric of our daily lives.
Exactly.
It absolutely makes you look sideways at every major tech keynote announcement, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%.
Because once Rachel and Sandra realize the sheer scope of Steele's corporate power, staying hidden in a Chicago apartment is no longer an option. If the enemy controls the infrastructure, waiting in one place is basically waiting to be deleted.
So they decide they have to go on the offensive. They need to see the threat up close. And they make this wildly dangerous play.
They infiltrate a press conference at the Cunard Industries headquarters.
Talk about walking straight into the lion's den.
I know. They head to the Rochester Auditorium, blending in with this massive crowd of military officials and tech journalists, and they watch Robert Steele take the stage to unveil a new propulsion drive.
Right. He pitches it to the world as this incredible human technological breakthrough.
But Rachel, having memorized the link file, recognizes it instantly. It's alien technology.
But the tension in this scene is just unbearable because they are nowhere near as invisible as they think they are.
No, they aren't.
Yeah.
Across the aisle, Sandra spots Hank, the Model 7 android, watching them from the crowd. Sandra manages to snap a photo with a hidden micro camera, and they immediately bolt.
Yeah, they try to lose him by ducking into a narrow alleyway, but they are instantly boxed in by black corporate vans.
It is a totally surgical ambush.
Completely.
Okay, wait, I have to ask about this, though. Because Sandra is a level 8 black belt. She is a highly trained, deeply capable fighter, yet she is completely, effortlessly overpowered by these corporate goons in the span of 30 seconds.
Right.
Does this shift the dynamic from a typical crime thriller to something bordering on existential horror? Because it feels a little, I don't know, convenient for the plot, doesn't it?
Well, it would be if she were fighting human goons. But remember the biology we're dealing with here.
Okay, fair.
She lands strikes that would shatter a human jaw, but she is hitting the Model 7. We are talking about synthetic muscle fibers woven with alien alloys. It's like punching a steel beam wrapped in silicone.
Oh, wow.
The author does this intentionally to strip Sandra of her greatest asset, her physical control over her environment.
That makes a lot of sense. So she fights, realizes she's hitting a brick wall, and then she feels a sharp sting at the base of her skull, and everything just goes black.
And the aftermath of this ambush is arguably one of the most chilling sequences in the entire book.
Unquestionably. So they wake up on Rachel's sofa in her apartment. The lights are off. Sandra checks her watch and realizes it is 8 p.m.
And it was noon when they entered that alleyway.
Right. They have 8 full hours of missing time. And the only physical evidence that anything even happened is this tiny, itchy bump behind their ears.
Yeah, the Titanians have fused microscopic neurotrackers directly to their cervical bones.
And this is what I was getting at earlier about existential horror. To me, it is deeply unsettling that the enemy's first move wasn't just to, put a bullet in them and be done with it. They literally bug their actual nervous systems.
Let's look at the strategy there, because it's brilliant. Notice why the Titanians use neurotrackers instead of just killing them.
Right.
It is the ultimate parasite strategy. A dead enemy ends a bloodline, sure, but a tracked enemy panics, runs to their allies, and leads you back to the entire hive.
Oh, wow. It turns them into biological Trojan horses.
Precisely. It shifts the book from a standard thriller into pure existential horror. The violation of the body is a classic horror trope, but here it is executed with this clinical corporate efficiency.
Yeah, it's so methodical.
Their own bodies have been weaponized against them to serve the Titanian agenda. It creates this suffocating paranoia for you as the reader, because there's nowhere to hide when the tracking device is wired into your own nervous system.
That realization that they are the bugs forces another massive pivot. They search Martin Link's notes from the file and find a name, Bob Mason.
He's a contact at the International Space Agency.
Down in Texas, right? So they book a flight to Fort Worth.
And the execution of this flight sequence is just masterful. The author builds this crushing weight of a world under constant surveillance.
Right, because every conversation Sandra and Rachel have on that plane, every nervous glance, is being monitored directly by Robert Steele in his lab.
He is listening to their heart rates. They are leading the wolf right to the sheep, just as Steele planned.
So they arrive at Bob Mason's modest ranch-style home, and you can practically feel the jaws of the trap closing. Bob is terrified.
Steele has already reached out to him.
Yeah, using some unseen corporate leverage to force him to hand the women over.
But Bob makes a split-second decision to rebel. He looks at the women, realizes they are bugged, and instead of speaking, he grabs a notepad.
This part is so tense.
He writes, "Do not speak, you are bugged." And he leads them down into his basement.
And this isn't just a regular basement. It's lined with lead and what the book calls Titanian dampening tech. Can we talk about how that actually works? Because it sounds like magic.
Yeah, it's essentially a localized electromagnetic dead zone. Think of a Faraday cage, but dialed up to a science fiction extreme.
Boy.
The dampening tech emits a counter-frequency that neutralizes the specific subspace signals the alien trackers use. It's the one place on Earth where Steele's network goes completely blind.
Wow.
And the fact that Bob Mason has this in his basement tells Sandra instantly that the resistance is much deeper than they thought.
It also visually represents the oppression of the Titanians perfectly. You can't even use your own voice in your own home without an alien CEO listening in.
Exactly.
So under the cover of this dampening field, Bob rushes them to a secluded estate outside the city to meet Dr. Carl Montgomery.
Which leads to the extraction scene.
Yes. I love the technical description of this procedure. It isn't a messy, bloody surgery. It's incredibly fast and clinical. Carl uses this specialized resonance tool.
Huh.
Tell me if I have this right. It's basically like an incredibly precise tuning fork that vibrates at the exact molecular frequency of the alien metal, right? Exactly. It vibrates at a pitch that human bone ignores, but the alien alloy responds to. It gently separates the tracker from the bone tissue and quite literally slides these tiny silver slivers right out of their skin.
But the second those trackers are removed and go completely dark, the alarm bells ring at Kennard Industries.
Oh yeah, Steele knows exactly what just happened.
Yes.
His biological Trojan horses just vanish from his radar.
And within minutes, Kennard's corporate mercenaries are breaching the gates of the estate.
Which launches into this pulse-pounding escape.
Yeah, Carl leads them through a hidden pantry door, down into a pressurized subterranean tunnel, and they jump onto a high-speed magnetic tram roaring through the darkness just as the house above them is completely overrun.
What's fascinating to observe during this chaotic escape is how the partnership between Rachel and Sandra has fully cemented.
They really have. They started as strangers in a hallway, separated by entirely different worldviews, the theoretical journalist and the tactical cop. Now they operate flawlessly as a unit, bonded by trauma and a shared, terrifying purpose.
They end up boarding a sleek, stolen private jet, rocketing up to 30,000 feet, banking hard toward the Pacific Ocean. And as they catch their breath, Sandra's detective brain starts putting the puzzle pieces together.
She's always observing.
Always. She watches Bob and Carl up in the cockpit, flying this incredibly advanced aircraft. She remembers how they handled those corporate mercenaries back at the estate, fighting with unnatural strength and speed.
The mystery deepens immensely right here. Sandra and Rachel have to ask themselves a very dark question. Who exactly are we sitting on this plane with?
Right.
Why do these supposedly human allies possess knowledge of titanium surgery, alien resonance frequencies, and biomechanical capabilities that just do not make sense for Earthlings?
Are they part of a rival faction? Are they defectors?
We don't know.
It is the absolute perfect setup. You have a grounded, gritty ex-cop and a relentless, visionary journalist. They have been entirely stripped of their normal resources. No police backup, no newspaper editors, no homes.
Nothing.
And they are flying toward a hidden underwater base in the Antarctic ice to try and stop a corporate alien overlord from manipulating global terraforming, all while being guided by men who might be just as alien as the enemy.
And the true value of this book for you as a reader is how perfectly it walks that tightrope. It balances massive, high-concept sci-fi ideas like global terraforming, synthetic androids, and microscopic neuroimplants with the incredibly human, deeply vulnerable reactions of Sandra and Rachel.
Yeah, it grounds the fantastical and the emotional reality of these two women.
It really does. It's a story about trusting your own instincts when the entire world around you, your government, your technology, your own body is literally compromised.
Absolutely.
And, it leaves you with a really chilling concept to mull over once you close the book. Think about the Titanian strategy we just explored.
Right.
They didn't attack with orbital lasers. They didn't declare war. They quietly infiltrated boardrooms, tech companies, media outlets, and supply chains. They didn't destroy the infrastructure. They became the infrastructure.
So insidious.
If you look at our own road today with the sheer amount of power, data, and influence concentrated in massive, completely opaque corporations, how easy would it be for a sleeper cell of any kind to quietly take over the planet before a single shot is ever fired?
That is a deeply unsettling thought to leave on. The infrastructure is already there, just waiting for the right CEO.
Exactly.
Well, if you want to find out what happens when these women finally reach the dark, freezing waters of the Antarctic ice, you absolutely need to grab a copy of the Titanian Conspiracy. Because sometimes the most dangerous threats aren't the ones falling from a fiery sky. Sometimes the invasion happens in the absolute dead of silence while the sky is perfectly clear.